Well, hello everyone, this is Keith Jowers with JC Films Jacksonville Production Club, and I'm back with another Clapboard chat and have a special guest today, so you want to stay tuned. I have a gentleman that came to me through another friend. We kind of just started talking and found out of everything he's involved with when it comes to the film industry, and what an amazing guy this gentleman is, and the studio he runs and all the acting classes he does. He's so involved. And that's what it takes sometimes. It's just being involved. Just take a step of faith. That's all you have to do. And no matter what you're doing in the film industry, take a step of faith and see where God may lead you next. So I'd like to bring in Mr. Jason Radcliffe. He's the founder of Tandem Studios and director. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so excited for this interview because you're just, man, I keep hearing more and more about what you're doing in the film industry. And I'm really excited just to meet you and talk with you and everything you're doing for our club here in Jacksonville. So tell us a little about Jason Radcliffe, how you got started in the film industry and where you're at today with it.
Well, it's kind of like haphazardly. I used to have a touring company where I'd use martial arts, gymnastics, and dance. And we'd go into schools, get kids away from violence, hatred, addiction, racism, things like that. And then we'd invite them to a show on the weekend that we share the gospel. And when 9/11 hit, it all collapsed. I happened to run into a gentleman who used to work with Aaron Spelling. In the process, he saw one of my stage shows, and we kind of built kind of a relationship. And he said, "Man, you got to get into film." And I said, "No, I'm a stage guy. I'm stage." And he eventually convinced me that film was probably not a bad idea. I started out with I think it was a 4:3 camera on tape back in the days when you were still taping and not using cards, and just kind of built into that. Then I got involved in some projects that were getting over budget and over time. And they need somebody to come in and try to salvage them. And I'm real big about money and time. Show business is a business first. It's the noun is business. And some people have made the mistake of getting involved and getting over their head and getting kind of trapped in a bond. And so I try to come in and try to salvage those projects and bring them back to time or money. And if that couldn't happen, I just take over the project completely to complete it. So that's kind of where it started.
And you start with just like ideas come to you. You start putting together a script and actually go all the way through filming and editing and everything, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have a company. It's Tandem Studios. Tandem Studios was founded in 2011 with a former business partner of mine. And we just got started doing work together. And everybody said, "Hey, what's going on?" We built Tandem. She felt like that she needed to go off and do something different in Atlanta. And so I stayed here and kept Tandem going. And we make movies. We do independent feature films. I've written 13 feature films. I just finished up a movie just recently called Hatred Incorporated that I'm excited about. And so writing, producing, directing is a lot of fun for me. And the kind of reason we're talking is because of biomechanic actor Bravo, is that someone had approached me about the acting teachers in town just weren't showing up. They weren't doing stuff. And they were an agent, and they said, "Can you offer a class?" And I said, "Man, if I teach a class, I'm going to make every acting teacher in the world mad at me, because I'm not going to teach Strasberg. I'm not going to teach Stanislavski. I'm not going to teach Meisner. I'm going to teach a system that directors would appreciate." And so that's when we started. Me and my partner built and co-created Biomechanic Actor.
And how long have you been teaching Bravo class?
I think it's probably fair to say for 9 years. I think we've had about 580 students come through.
That's awesome. But that's over a few weeks, right? Isn't it like, is it always an hour or over the weeks?
Yeah, we would do two different types. We do seminars, like what we're going to offer you guys. And then we'd also do a weekly class where people could come in and take weekly training and improve their skills. A lot of agents want your actors to constantly be training. That's one of their rules, that you got to be training. I tell people a lot of times, actors, especially brothers and sisters in Christ, say, "Look, you're going to spend a lot of money. Go onto YouTube and watch a few classes on there. Keep constantly, find a place." I call it the University of YouTube, but just train. And then when they get to a certain level, they'll call and say, "Hey, man, I think I'm ready to try to take Biomechanic Actor." I'm like, "Come on." So,
well, now that you brought it up about a seminar you're doing for us, a workshop, why don't you tell us a little bit about it? So for those that register for our class to help benefit Jacksonville JC Films, we really appreciate you hosting this 5-hour class for us. But tell us, what is a student going to learn from you? Can you go through the acronym of Bravo?
Sure. Well, Bravo is, so my goal about Bravo was that I wanted actors let me break it down like this so that I'm pretty clear. Back in the days when they created Stanislavski and Meisner approach to acting, you felt a lot of emotions. Back in the day, that was for theater. You would do maybe 1 or 2 shows a day. You'd spend your soul right there on the stage, and you'd be done. You'd be spent. And nowadays, we don't have film anymore that costs by the foot. Footage is what it's called. We now have little cards. So if I've got you for 6 hours to do a scene, I'm going to use you for 6 hours to shoot that scene. So that means you have to be able to be like an athlete that can run the play that I've asked you to run over and over and over again. And so we train the body like an instrument. So if I say you need to hit this note, you can just grab your bowstring supposedly and hit that note. And that's the objective of biomechanics. So we broke it down into Bravo, which is breathing, the importance of breathing. We are watchers of life and society. And when you breathe the situation right, you start to show people you're in the moment that we're supposed to believe you're in. And then, so we break that down into a lot of different techniques and concepts. The next important thing about a scene is every scene has to have range. When I watch a scene or I'm asked to critique something, I have a pen and paper and I just kind of have my hand on it, like almost like I'm just running up and down based on the range that you bring me. If I see a straight line on that paper, you didn't deliver anything to me. If I see a lot of this, that's erratic and the story gets hurt. If an actor can show me a really good ups and downs, if this is the baseline, I want you to take me here and maybe here. And this is what we want actors to focus on in their moment. Did you bring range to the moment? Adaptability is very important. You've got to adapt not only to the screen, to the screenplay, but you have to adapt to the location, the people you're acting with, a director's requests. I've had some actors who come on set with this very consumed idea that this is how their character's supposed to be. But in reality, they don't understand the whole script because they never got the whole script. So they're trying to take their character in a direction that doesn't fit the script. And when they're hit with this need to adapt, they lose their minds and they pretty much shut down and we don't get a good performance out of them. So adaptability is huge. And we have training techniques on how to adapt. Then vulnerability. Vulnerability is my favorite because every character in life has a vulnerability. And every character that you play, even if you have a slug line moment, and slug line meaning she walked in, grabbed a cup of coffee, took a sip, and screamed, "It's too hot." That's a slug line moment. So if that's her only moment, she has highs and lows in there. She has vulnerabilities in there. Why does she need her coffee? Is she edgy? Is she tired? And so we need to ask yourself when you're developing your character, what are the vulnerabilities of the character that you're playing? Because if I relate to your vulnerability, then I relate to you. If you don't have vulnerabilities, I don't relate to your character or what you're going through as an audience member. And so that's a huge deal. It's a very important process in an actor that need to understand that. And then there's obligation. Obligation is based on the time period that you're in, the accent that you need to be close to, you need to try to get to, your obligation to what has happened to your character before, what is happening to your character now. A lot of actors make the mistake. They've read the whole script. And they make the mistake of obligating their character to something that hasn't happened to them yet. And so we have to remind them that there's a streamline here. And if you're lucky, you get to shoot a film linearly. But most of the time you don't. Most of the time you get scenes here and here and here because of the logistics of bringing all the actors in or getting the location at the right time. That's why we make sure that they understand obligation. In this 5-hour seminar, aside from Bravo, we actually put them in front of a camera in lights, teach them how to hit a spot. If you don't hit your spot, you can make gaffers and you can make teams very frustrated with you. DPs, ADs, people who are pulling focus. There's a whole dance happening around you. You're the one that's seen on camera, but the performance is actually happening with the camera and all the motion that's happening in the environment. So we want you to understand, what is a sight line? What is your position to stand on? How do you know if you're in your light, if you're not in your light, without looking at your position? So there's a lot of things that we do with that helps the actor not frustrate the guys who are on set and used to working with actors who are pretty aware of their surroundings. So that's a big deal. I also go in and break down a scene in this class to give you an understanding of why the scene exists. Why are you in that scene? What is your purpose for being in that scene? And what are you trying to get across? Sometimes you might have what is called a bit part. We've heard this saying a lot. There's no small roles. But the reality is there's no small roles. If I go through a script and somebody asks me to critique their script and I see a role that doesn't belong, I'm going to ask, why is that character there? What's the purpose? I would get rid of that character, just cut him. Because if there's not a reason, if that person doesn't exist to create an emotion or an understanding or to reveal something, then they probably don't belong in the scene. So if you've made it to your character to be in that scene, no matter how small it is, it has a purpose. And this is why I really try to get actors to focus on those elements as well.
So Jason,
so in a nutshell,
yeah. So I have folks have been asking me about the class and said, well, I'm new to acting, Keith. Is this going to be over my head? You know, that kind of thing. But I think this is pretty much open for beginners, mid-range actors, or someone who's been around for a while, right? Because I've talked to a few actors that have been around for a while, and they tell me they've been through the class. I really like the class. So, I mean, they can learn. I mean, I think any class you're in, you can learn regardless of your level of thinking. So, or education on that. So tell us, is it good for all actors, no matter what range you're in?
Yeah, I think a beginning actor will get a lot out of Bravo because a beginning actor will kind of see a concept and a construct that is new to them, and they'll be able to embrace it faster. I'm a martial artist martial arts is my background. If I take a guy that comes from one format system and bring him to another system, it's very difficult for them to let go of what they're used to embrace this system. Life is a smorgasbord, so you go in, you take what you want from that table, and then you go back and eat it. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of the other. I have had some actors who've come in who've really been deep into method style acting, which is where you spend a lot of emotion and energy and things like that. You feel a lot, and they'll come in and they're immediately very disappointed with where I'm coming from until they give it a minute, because they're like, oh wait, this makes a lot of sense. Children should definitely take biomechanics or Bravo or something like that. I don't think kids should be a part of method acting at all. I have been in rooms where the coach would come on set and the coach would yell and scream at these children and say, you're horrible, you're not, just to get them to drop a tear. I can teach you how to massage your jaw just by flexing your jaw and breathing to bring tears to your eyes. It's biomechanics. You don't have to feel emotions, which is good, because if I only have enough budget for 1 or 2 cameras, I might shoot that shot probably 15, 20 times. And we do a thing called emo circle, and I get you to fake emotions, clear it up as fast as you can, and we start over again. And this goes back to training the body. So yes, I would say that if you are beginning, middle, or even a seasoned actor can come in and say, let me see if I can learn one good thing out of it. And I've had a couple who come to me and said, wow, I never saw it that way. I'm going to use that. So.
Well, as you said, I mean, when you're working with directors and everything, you've got to come in and you've got to be on task, and you got to know what you're doing and get ready for the scene that you're at hand, because everything's, time is money, right? So, but I think that anyone, and as I told this potential student who actually did register finally, she was telling me that she was exciting. It was exciting to meet you and that we're hosting this class. So folks, we're listening to chatting with Jason Radcliffe of Tandem Studios, who is going to be teaching the Bravo class on May 7th here in Jacksonville, or actually at Atlantic Beach at a studio. And we'd love for you to be a part of it. So Jason, just in the final words there, where do you see the movie industry today? I mean, we need more faith, inspirational type movies coming out, right? I mean, we see what's happening in Hollywood and that kind of thing, and that's their thing. But I'm talking about, seems like across the country, I'm seeing more inspirational type films. Why do you think that is?
So I think there's a hunger and a thirst for stories that build, edify, and remind people of why we were put here. I love Jesus. I need him. I have a relationship with him. Without him, when I don't put him into my mind, the waves of the world, if I can use Peter's experience, become too high for me, and I start making really bad choices, making a lot of bad mistakes. If I'm constantly eating the stuff that the world is giving me, and I mean that in film, television, entertainment, music, and it's always negative, or it's always self-focused, me, or get what you can when you want it or when you need it, it starts to create a society that is so self-centered that we start to eat ourselves alive. And we can all agree that that's happening right now. The reason you have organizations out there like PureFlix and Dream Drop and all these organizations that are coming up and becoming an opportunity for us to watch quality films is because people recognize in their soul, first, I want my kids to watch something that's better. I want my kids to watch something that grows their soul, that grows their mind, and grows them as a better part of society, not only here on earth, but in the kingdom of heaven. And that's a big thing. I also love, and if I can say this, I love the fact that people are getting better at writing scripts that honor and glorify God. There was a time when I would watch a faith-based film, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we'd watch this really great story and they'd pause, they'd share the gospel, and they'd go and they'd do the rest of their story as if the gospel wasn't even a part of it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Now we've got writers who are learning to weave the gospel in the script like God is woven in our lives. Right. And this is what I like.
Yeah. So, well, I'm so excited for the class. I'm looking forward to the class, and I think we're going to have more and more folks want to come to the class simply because of just, people want to learn, and I'm a life learner. Even at my age, I still want to learn things on a daily basis, and I do. But I think that if you just take a step of faith, folks, if you just kind of reach out and say, well, I don't know anything about acting, well, come to the workshop. You're going to learn something about acting, because Jason has been around the film industry for a long time. And I tell you, it's a difficult time that we're in our world, and we need more films like this, don't we, Jason?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And I'm excited about guys like you. I'm excited about the people who volunteer to be a part of your organization. And I just want to say that to those that are watching, if I can for 1 second, the film business sounds really fun, sounds exciting. It's the hardest work you'll ever do in your life. It is the most unforgiving, unloving work you can do sometimes in your life. But it is the most fulfilling when somebody says to you, hey, I saw that piece you did. I saw that scene you were in. I saw that moment. And it's exactly what I needed to see, what I needed to hear. And you can change a life. If Jesus were alive today, and I probably sounds a little sacrilegious, but I think he'd have been a filmmaker or a TikTok guy or whatever, and I'll tell you why. Jesus used parables, which was the most advanced form of entertainment and education in his time. And today, he would have definitely, if he started his ministry today, and when I say alive, that's really kind of a bad statement, but if he was doing his ministry at this time, walking the earth with us, it would have been film. I really genuinely believe that. So it's an opportunity to take the greatest storyteller of our time, a man who told parables, and take that gift and that skill set and apply it to a medium that we need. And I hope that everybody who's watching this will give it a chance. Get involved. If you don't want to be in front of the camera, get behind the camera, move lights around, learn how to do sound. I mean, when you come to this class, I'm going to teach you a little bit of everything about the film industry, and maybe you might find where you belong. So I'm excited about it.
And bring a notebook and pen, right? So
I expect you to write notes.
It's going to be a jam-packed 5 hours for sure, with a little lunch break in the middle. But folks, we been talking with Jason Radcliffe, and who is going to teach our Bravo class. So we want to thank him for joining us today. So Jason, may God bless you and your efforts, and I appreciate you joining us here and helping out Jacksonville JC Films Production Club.
Man, this was a lot of fun. It's finally nice to get a chance to talk to you face to face.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.